Sir, I'm your Suresh, and I can see that there are not much of guests. I'm sure that pretty much we all know each other. But just to put it out there, I am just officially putting it out there. I am Toastmaster Alvin Stevie, president of KCA Toastmasters Club, and I'm sure that you all are pretty much excited to get into two workshops today: art of effective evaluations and rules of the game. So, without further ado, I'm going to pass the baton to the Toastmaster of the day. And our Toastmaster of the day is none other than Toastmaster Meenakshi Sundaram. Sir, it's all yours.
Thank you, both the presidents and members. You're all ready for sharpening your skills. We already heard about the importance of sharpening our skills from president of CAT. So I'm not going to really take more time in telling why we should do all those things. We'll directly go into the workshops, which is what is the main highlight of this particular meeting. So we'll start with the first workshop is on art of effective evaluation by Toastmaster Biliana. Toastmaster Biliana is a English language lecturer in University of Bahrain as a profession. She's a Toastmaster for last 5 years, member of Manama Toastmasters and DIVA Division A Debate Toastmasters Club. She has been a Division C champion in evaluation, international and table topics. In fact, table topics, she won the second place in DTAC 2018 in Kuwait. She's an amazing personality. She's also competed in international and evaluation in the district level, twice in evaluation, once in international. Great speaker. I worked with her as president of CAT. I was the VP Education at that time, and I know the amount of preparation that she does for each and every activity that she takes. A thorough professional. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands to welcome Toastmaster Biliana Davasheva.
Thank you very much, Ditya Meenakshi. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters, members of the two clubs, and guests, if there are any. It's really good to see you all after a long time, especially for CAT members. And I'm really happy that tonight I have this opportunity to share the screen, not the stage, with Nisha, especially because we have been competing in contests as well. So we know each other, I think. So the first workshop, as you said, is mastering the art of effective evaluations. And what we were going to do is, first, I'm going to spend about 15 minutes giving you some tips, some effective tips that have worked for me in many contests when it comes to evaluation, which you can also apply if you want to reach the higher levels of contests, and also when you do any evaluation, whether it's a club or somewhere else. And then we are going to put into practice those tips. We are going to have a test speaker and two evaluators from each club who will actually try to evaluate the test speaker by using some of the tips, because it's very important to put into practice what we preach, as we say. So let me just share the screen to start. Just a second.
You are muted, Toastmaster Biliana.
I think now it's okay. Yeah, I think automatically it went to mute. Okay. So I'm sure you've heard many Toastmasters who say, I'm going to compete in the evaluation contest because I don't have to prepare for it, unlike the humorous and international speech contest. Well, what I would like to share with you tonight is that you do need to prepare even for the evaluation contest, and sometimes even more so than the other prepared speeches if you want to be an effective evaluator and if you want to do justice to the speaker, the audience, and especially the judges competing in a contest. So what's important to know that in order to have an evaluation that will help you stand apart and stand out from other evaluators is that you need to have an evaluation which will be organized, detailed, analytical, and motivational at the same time. And you have to achieve all of this in 3 to 3.5 minutes, which is quite an enormous task if you want to cover all the aspects. But with practice, with sharpening your skills, you will definitely be able to do it. Just imagine that the evaluation you give, whether it's at club level or in a district competition, the evaluation has the same foundation. It is a well-crafted mini speech and in which you bring your own style, and it needs to have structure. We are all familiar with the so-called sandwich techniques, which is one of the most commonly used techniques. But I found these interesting words which actually sum up that sandwich technique. So these are the 4 main elements you need to have in every evaluation. You need to commend the speaker, to start with the positive. You need to recommend some things which need to be improved. You need to summarize those things, and you also need to motivate the speaker at the end. So how do we do all these 4 things in less than 3.5 minutes? The first thing is you need to have an interesting opening. Many a times we have heard speakers who begin their speeches with the so-called usual phrase, such like in my example. What a wonderful speech, Toastmaster Mohammed. I have never heard anything like this. Give him a big round of applause. If you're in a contest, this is the moment where you lose the judges and where you lose the audience because they're saying, oh no, not again, the same way of beginning. So if you want to avoid this, you need to have an interesting opening. And the way you start your evaluation is actually by picking something memorable from the speech. It could be something related to the topic, something related to the character of the speech, or something related to the style of the speaker itself. Good evaluators like to use metaphors. And if you have the strength of the language, the metaphors can actually help you to come full circle at the end of your evaluation, and definitely you will stand out. So you need to choose a concept to build your evaluation around. Because imagine, let's say in a contest, there may be 10 or 11 contestants, and they are all evaluating the same speaker and the same speech. So you want to stand out with your evaluation. And the way to stand out is to have a very strong opening. Now, the next thing we said was you need to commend the speaker. You need to start with the positive features. And usually you should select up to 3 things to analyze. It could be the topic, could be the message, the style in which the speaker presented the speech, or any other aspect of their performance which was done in a really good way. And what's important is here to relate it to how you felt while you were listening to the speaker and the speech. There are evaluators who actually retell the story of the speech. Please stay away from that, because the audience has heard the speech, the judges have heard the speech, so you do not have to retell the story, what it was about and how the speaker started, how he developed the story and how he ended. What you do is you use references from the speech, but again, you have to relate it to how you felt. Here is an example. When you spoke about your mother, I could imagine me as a child having such conversations. It's not enough for you just to say, when you spoke about your mother, I like that conversation. No, that doesn't have any depth. But if you say that this is how I felt, I remember the conversations I had with my mother, in that case, you show how the speech has affected you. And when you're doing evaluation, you're establishing that connection between you and the speaker, because the speaker wants to have the impact on you. And you want to come out after listening a speech with something that you will feel inside. And you will remember long after the speaker has gone down the stage. Now, another thing which is important, remember we said you start with the commendations and then you move on to the recommendations. And if one of the signs of good evaluators is to use what we call a very good bridge, which will signal to the audience and to the judges and the evaluators that you are going to move on to the recommendations. Again, many times we hear this phrase, every speech has some room for improvement, so I have a few recommendations for you. This is good for those who are starting to give evaluations, for new Toastmasters, for example. So this is the basis. But once you become a proficient evaluator, what you do is you create a bridge, which is just one sentence going from the commendations to the recommendations, in which you don't signal directly even that you're going to talk about recommendations. And again, the metaphors, the things you take out from the speech can help you to create a very good bridge. Here is an example. This is from a division contest in which the speaker was talking about the history of the famous Brooklyn Bridge in New York. So what I did was I used that, the bricks and the bridge, the building blocks, instead of the word recommendations. And I came up with this sentence. Every bridge needs building stones. So here are a few building stones that can help your speech be even stronger. Notice there is no word recommendations here. But if you're familiar with metaphors, and this is one thing that the judges are listening for, especially in a contest, then they can figure out that you have wrapped this bridge in a very nice sentence. And this is where you can score a lot. Because the mastery of the bridge is what can help you stand out. Now, let's move on to the recommendations. The recommendations have to be positive, specific, and helpful. Because remember, you are not there to criticize the speaker. You're critiquing the speech and you're critiquing the way the speaker actually delivered that speech. So usually the safe number is 2 to 3 recommendations. First, you don't have time for more than that. And second, it doesn't look good if you start nitpicking and pointing out to certain things, which probably are not even that important. When you think about what recommendations you're going to choose something that no one has picked up. There are evaluators who will always comment maybe on the movements or maybe on the voice modulation or the message or the story itself. That's fine. You can comment on the same thing, but try to do that in a different way. And if you can, choose something that no one has picked up. You need to be very observant. For example, it could be something simple as this. One of the strengths of good speakers is that at the end, they should come forward on stage to embrace the audience so that the message can be heard because you're establishing that contact as a speaker with the audience. So one of the recommendations could be that when you're saying your message, come forward. Make sure that you connect with the audience so that the message can resonate with them even after you have finished your speech. So this is one specific recommendation so that the speaker knows next time they speak, they should come forward because just changing the position signals to the audience, this is the grand finale, it's coming now. What's also important is to use specific scenes from the speech to support your recommendations and to act them out as much as you can. It's not enough just to say, for example, when you spoke about your relationship with your parents, you should show more emotions. Act it out. We all practice how to put more emotions in our speech. So I could say something like this. In the scene, when you spoke about your parents pushing you so hard to achieve high grades, show your frustrations, emotions, say, Mom, I did my best. But that's all I could do. So you're showing the speaker what you actually mean. And your words, go up a notch. They have much deeper meaning. And remember, the recommendations need to be useful to the speaker for their future speeches. They have to be able to, they should be able to implement what you're telling them to do. This is the technique we should all use in our evaluations. We must stay positive and encouraging throughout the evaluation. There is no place for sarcasm or tone in the voice which will actually make the speaker feel bad. Because remember, one day you may be in the same position and somebody may be evaluating you on a big stage or in your club, and it might hurt you. You're looking at the speech, not at the person. So even if you don't like the person that is speaking, you're looking at the speech. So this is what you're focusing on. And the tone of your voice needs to be supportive, calm, professional, so sort of like mentor-like, because in a way the evaluator serves as a mentor for the speaker. Now, one thing which is very important, especially if you're competing in evaluation, is the summary. If you look at the judging ballot, the summary has 15 marks. I think it's 15 marks on the judging ballot for summary. Make sure to give yourself enough time for the summary. The summary is just one sentence, and it contains the commendations and the recommendations before you give the motivational message at the end. So what you need to do is you need to signal to the audience that you are actually giving the summary. And it could be just a simple phrase, but the judges need to hear that. They need to hear in summary, or to sum up, in conclusion, to summarize. So when you reach this point in your evaluation, pause a bit, because everybody can hear that you're summarizing. And as I said, you should not spend more than maybe 20 seconds on it. It's just one sentence in which I could say, for example, something like this. In summary, excellent topic, very good personal story, a lot of emotions in it. Work a little bit on the movements on the stage. Make sure you add more drama in the speech and you will be successful. I mean, something like that. So no time to elaborate further on the points, you're just summarizing. Now, this is what I call the icing on the cake or the ending. Many of us spend time on the commendations, the recommendations, and then panic sets in because the light changes from yellow to red. And we rush sometimes without giving the message, which should be motivational, which I call the icing on the cake. So after the summation, after you summarize, you need to finish the evaluation on a high note with a very motivational message which will have an effective outcome. So one of the techniques which good evaluators use is to actually use the concept they start with, the metaphor or whatever they've picked up from the speech, to come full circle and to close that circle and motivate the speaker so that the speaker says, wow, I did a good job. The evaluator is telling me this. Now, here are two examples. And the second example is actually from a speech given by DTM Hisham Jifri during our area contest and a few years back in CAT. And this was my ending. He was talking about the journal of his life. And I sort of picked that up as a concept. And this was my motivational message with which I won this contest that time. I said, continue writing the journal of your life because your strength lies in your words. Continue sharing your words with the world because the world needs to hear what you have to say. And I don't think I was wrong because this year he even reached the district competition, and this year he was also evaluation champion, district evaluation champion. So I guess at that time I saw the potential, and like many Toastmasters did. So you need to say something like this. And how do you find these endings? Watch evaluations, look at contests, go to clubs. You will see something that evaluators use, and maybe you can take that concept and put it into your own words. Now, as a final note, I would like to leave you with this, that the basis of every evaluation is the same, but the way you mold it and craft it is what makes you stand apart from the rest. So I do hope that these tips, at least you can implement some of them in the next evaluation you do at a club level area or wherever you're giving evaluations. And just remember, if you want to be an evaluation champion, you have to be prepared 10 times more than your competitors and the other members. Because what makes you stand out is your uniqueness, your style, and the ability to incorporate language and motivational messages in your evaluation. Thank you very much. And back to you, Master of Ceremonies, or Toastmaster of the Day. Just stop sharing.
Thank you, Toastmaster Biliana. That was an amazing presentation. I, of course, noted down few points just to say, comment, recommend, motivate, make it memorable, summarize, and end with a high note. Just to summarize whatever I have picked up from the presentation. Amazing, well done, excellent job. Now we have a test speaker amongst us who is going to deliver a speech, and we will have 2 evaluations, which again will be used as an example. And then the workshop is not over yet actually. So this is part of the workshop. Is the, yeah, I'm seeing the test speaker. The timer, be ready for the, to time the speaker. So the test speaker is Toastmaster Niaz Ali. The speech title is Shift Your Focus, Not Goals. Shift your focus, not goals. Toastmaster Niaz Ali.
Can I start?
Yes.
Thank you. Nicholas James Nick Vujicic. In short, Nick Vujicic. Again in short, Nick. An Australian-American motivational speaker who was born with a rare disorder, tetra-amelia syndrome. Very complicated word, right? In a simple words, absence of arms and legs. During his childhood, he was being treated as a very normal kid at his home by his parents. Wonderful parents. He was really happy. He was content. He was cheerful and excited during the time. Then what happened? He was sent to school with a normal kids. There he realized the fact that he was not a normal one. He was quite different from anybody else over there. He was a handicap. That put him in a stress and even went on a trauma. One day he came back home. He didn't want to live anymore. He wanted to commit suicide. He attempted for it. And his father could save him from that. That night, Nick and his father had a profound conversation. His father said, Nick, listen very carefully. In our life, primarily, we are given 2 options. Option number 1, you can look at what you don't have in your life. You can complain about it, you can cry, and you can curse everyone around you, including the Almighty. And you can lead an agitated life. Option number 2, you can look at what you have in your life. You can count on your blessings, and you can lead a peaceful life. People, it's easy for them to go for the first option. They tend to do the first option very commonly. The second one, you need to do it consciously. That truly changed the way how Nick thought about. That changed the shift, the focus, that made a shift in the focus of Nick. He started practicing the attitude of gratitude. And you realize the fact that when he started practicing the attitude of gratitude, the more things started coming to him which he can be more grateful for. It became like a medicine for him to heal from his mental, mind, or
body, and even in a soul level. His all struggles and stress got an end over there. He started attracting more happiness into his life. Years later, Nick became very influencing and popular motivational speaker across the globe with more than millions of followers. Guys, what happened over here? It's a very simple thing. He changed the focus. Where we focus, there we get energy. Where we get energy, there we get the result. Look at our history. Even in our history, if you check the history of the sports world, you would understand a fact that running 1 mile in less than 4 minutes was considered as an impossible task for any human beings. Scientists or doctors had given their reasons for that or their justifications. The one is the human anatomy was not fit for that. Second one, the bone structure of the human being was not fit for that. The third one is the endurance of the heart was not fit for that. Then what happened? In 1954, May 6th, Roger Bannister, a 25-year-old boy, he achieved 1 mile in less than 4 minutes. He took 3 minutes, 59.4 split seconds. The entire world changed their focus from impossible to possible. From there, on 46th day, an Australian achieved the same. From there, down the line, 66 years, 1,200 people, 4,000 times achieved this. You all heard of Mount Everest, right? What is the height of Mount Everest? Any guesses? 8,848 meters. It was considered as an impossible task for any human beings to climb on and to reach the top of it, until Edmund Hillary stepped on it. Edmund Hillary, he achieved it. And after that, what happened? The entire world changed the shift from impossible to possible. 3,000 people thereafter, 5,000 times achieved this feat. In that, 13-year-old person was there, 17-year-old person was also there. Even a blind person was there. And the last one, which I want to mention over here, you all heard of aerodynamics. What is aerodynamics? In a layman language, I can say that it's a science behind how an aeroplane flies. As per aerodynamic law, a beetle cannot fly because of two major reasons. One is the body mass of a beetle, another one is the strength of its wings. But beetle flies. You know why? Beetle doesn't know the aerodynamics rule. Be a beetle in our life. Focus on your strength, not your weakness. But you need to have an idea about your weakness and you need to work on it, but focus on your strength. We are more powerful than what we think we are. Every second in our life gives us an opportunity to turn around our life by changing our focus. People, society, education, or the entire world, even your family may tell you that you are incompetent. But you don't say yourself that you are incompetent. You confuse the people with your silence. Don't try to argue or fight with them. And then give them a hard punch on their face with your result. So guys, what is the plan of action for today? Have a diary with you always. Have a diary. Write down all your blessings that you have in your life in that diary. You don't want to look at the major things. Look at very minor one. You can breathe, you can speak, you can see, you can listen. Even if you can't go to the washroom and you can urinate over there without assistance of anyone, it's a great blessing. Start writing down all your blessings in a book. And then read that book every day in the morning when you get out of the bed, and when you go to bed, before that you read that book. You don't need any motivational book thereafter. Read it very carefully. Your life will take a 360-degree turn from there, my dear friends. Are you all ready to do that? Thank you. Over to you, dear Moody.
Thank you. for the great speech, really inspirational. We will have a few minutes for the evaluators to prepare for the evaluation. Can we give 5 minutes for the evaluators to prepare?
Yes.
Toastmaster Sijo and DTM Khalil Damin are the evaluators. So, in the meantime, if you have any questions on the presentation done by Toastmaster Bilyana, we can probably ask.
Sorry, dear Mr. TMOD.
Yes,
I
sir.
was not warned that I will be evaluating because in the middle I got a call, so I didn't listen to the entire speech. But I can give it a try with what I heard.
Yeah, please, if you can do with whatever you heard.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you. Okay, I have one question, Toastmaster Bilyana. One of the points that you mentioned is, if I'm right, is you said when you're giving a recommendation, try and show. Can you explain it in a bit more like?
Yes, for example, that depends on your recommendations, right?
Yeah.
Let's say you're talking about somebody who is continuously using the hands during their speech. So, okay, I just have to stand up to show it. So, for example, if I say, Ditya Meenakshi, during your speech, you were so excited and when you wanted to show emotion that you were constantly using the hands. But when you're performing on a screen, limit the movements of the hands. Make sure you practice because every movement of the hand has to be in sync with your words. So it could be something like this. Or if I'm commenting on the voice modulation, I can say, while you were speaking in the beginning, it was too loud. Slow down, change the voice. Make sure there are variations because the voice has to be like a wave throughout the speech. So something like that, which is practical that everybody can actually see. That's what I meant by acting in takt.
Thank you. That was definitely useful tip because generally what happens when you try to do, sometimes you will probably overdo and you may probably lose the audience judges. So your example of doing what is practically possible, that's very relevant and good point. Any other questions?
It also,
yeah,
it helps you to make the recommendations more memorable for the speaker and whoever is in the audience.
Yeah, that's right. More relevant and memorable. Yes.
And valid, in other words. One question, if I may say, one question that I always get asked after this workshop is, how do you evaluate a speech which may not be so good or maybe which hasn't inspired you? And this is, I think sometimes it's an issue, especially in contests, because yes, you may have a speaker that you don't kind of connect with during the speech. But so my message is that there is always something good in the speech. So you kind of have to think maybe more. You maybe have to pull all your resources to craft an evaluation, but you need to go with a positive attitude towards the speech and see what is it, apart from the negative attitude you had maybe, that something good that came out of that speech, because every speech has something good in it. So there should be a balance. Even if you feel the speech is not so good, there should be a balance between the commendations and the recommendations as well.
So the fact that people generally say go with a positive mindset, that's more relevant for the evaluation contest. You have to have a positive mindset, look for positive points in the speaker.
Yes, because I mean,
right now or on the way back?
You cannot expect, I mean, you always, as we said, the evaluation has to be positive and motivating. So, but first you need to be motivated as an evaluator So if you don't have that motivation, the evaluation will not come out as you have planned. And it might come out quite different. So you need to, before the contest, and before every evaluation, you need to have that mindset that you will have a positive and effective evaluation at the end.
Yeah, that's great actually. Because at the end of the day, you want to leave a positive effect on the speaker more than anything else. So that's very relevant, very important. So you
Yes.
have to have that. I mean, that's a very good point. Any of the evaluators, if they are ready, just give me a sign so that we can move towards the.
I have one more question, TM Biljana.
Yes.
For example, if a person is speaking about Darwin, Darwin and his quotes, he says the man is coming from the monkey. So, but if I am the evaluator, I am not cope up with the particular talk. So how do I evaluate? Because the theory is totally away from my mindset. So in that time, how I can evaluate?
Well, in that case, I would suggest if you don't want to evaluate something that you're not sure about, or maybe you don't agree with or disagree with, choose something else. Leave aside maybe the message or the content. Focus more on the style of the performance. Focus more on, as we said, on the movements, the dialogues, the gestures. So it's okay. You don't have to touch upon the topic and the message all the time. You can look at other aspects of the performance. So in that way, you will have commendations, but about that part of the performance of the speaker. Because, for example, it's also difficult to evaluate a speech which is culturally appropriate for a certain culture, and you may not be familiar maybe with certain festivities or with certain traditions in the culture. So in that case, you will not touch upon that. You may touch upon that maybe superficially, but you will look at the other aspects of the performance that are evaluated. There are plenty. Maybe if you look at the whole list, you can evaluate maybe 10, 15 different aspects of the performance. So you have a choice, but you need to know what those aspects are. So the more you prepare, the better for you. It will save you in such situations.
In fact, there's another point that comes to mind. One is you don't agree with what the speaker is saying. So which means, generally we are prejudiced in our mind. So as an evaluator, how do you prepare before the speech starts in terms of, keeping your mind open?
Well, as I said, you have to go with that mindset. So because the evaluation, yes, we are human beings, so we are subjective creatures. Sometimes we may be subjective in our evaluation, but again, you go like with a blank piece of paper. So whatever is in your mind, and even if you don't agree with the speaker, that should not be in your evaluation. So you have to go with that blank mind and look at focus, as the speaker said. Make sure you focus on certain things. So you focus on the positives and you focus on the recommendations that can help the speaker. As I said, you can even hate the speaker. Maybe you've lost to him or her in so many contests. Maybe you're now saying, oh, I don't want to evaluate the speaker. No, that should stop the moment you get on that stage. That should be left aside. It's difficult, but you have to do it. As an evaluator, you have to do justice to the speaker.
Thanks a lot. That's very, very wonderful. Is any, I think it was my Soy Paul, not Sijo Anthony. I was told, I'm sorry for misspelling the name. It's a spelling mistake, big spelling mistake, of course. It was my Soy Paul. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. Because
okay, so you can start the evaluation.
Toastmaster of the day, fellow Toastmasters, especially our speaker, Nias Ali, has delivered a wonderful speech. Shift the focus. But I like most very much in this speech, beetles don't know the aerodynamics. That's why the beetles fly. That's a great thing what he has pointed out. He has started with the great example of the and Djokovic, I don't know his name, how to spell it, but the great speaker. I have observed his speech maybe 3 to 4 times. He's a wonderful speaker, even though without the hand and the leg, he plays a football. He is doing the every activity. If once we see his speech, we will never complain in our life. He has done the wonderful job, and he has done it. Then after this example, he shifted to the world's first who crossed the 4 minutes. Then started to the move towards the Everest, the conquered 3,000 times. Somebody conquered the one person, one after one. Somebody conquered the Everest. It is not the small achievement. It is done. Everything is possible. Only thing what you have to do is to shift your focus. So not because of the Beatles fly, they don't know the aerodynamics. Maybe they're working hard. That's why they fly. And in our the speech, what are the important point is the complete the throughout the transition. He has delivered the wonderful message in the every point was connected, and he has delivered successfully delivered the important message. It was a motivational speech. Appreciate him. As we know, this is something to be improved in every speech, as we realize. It is the Toastmaster Niaz Ali is not apart from that. So I would like to suggest in the yesterday I watched the World Championship, and I have seen every World Championship they are moving, but in his speech I didn't see he's moving. He's sitting and delivering the speech. The delivering the speech. I'm also the sitting because I'm in the car. I can't move. But he is sitting and delivering. The important thing what will happen if you will sit and try to deliver, your energy level will be less. And the second thing what I would like to highlight is the voice modulation and the dramatization. And you could improve include some of the humor in the speech. It is not seen. The most important thing what I have observed in the speech, you can give any speech, but if it is not connected with your life, everybody will see it is a homily, it's a preacher, and that effect, it will not that much effective. You have delivered so much message, how it is connected with your life. Your small story, if you could include in your small story in this speech, that would have delivered the bigger message. You are a great speaker. In summary, you're a great speaker, amazing speaker. Seek the qualities of the speech craft, learn it, practice it, hammer it. Back to you,
Thank you, Toastmaster Soy. Despite driving, you could. You're in a car, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm in the car. I will drive now. Started to drive. My phone is less connected. Okay, then sorry to.
Thank you for the evaluation. Now let's move on to the next evaluator, DTM Khalid.
Okay, thank you, Toastmaster Meenakshi, fellow Toastmasters. If I ask you, we all have two eyes, well, except for some of us, we have two eyes. Would you agree?
Yes.
Well, this is something that you probably have heard or haven't heard. Even a speech has two eyes. So I want to thank our speaker, Niaz, for helping me focus my eyes on my blessings, not on my shortcomings. Thank you, Toastmaster Niaz. Now, what are the two eyes of a speech? Intent and impact. The speaker intention was to inspire us. Now, Anis, if you want to inspire your audience, you have to do three things. You have to engage your audience, you have to entertain them, and you have to move them. And I would say 2 out of 3 is not bad, as everyone says. Toastmaster Niaz, you engaged me with the very appropriate examples of Edmund Hillary, with Nick, somebody armless and legless, someone who climbed the Mount Everest, the highest mountain on earth. Nobody could imagine that. So you engaged me with your stories. You moved me when you said you should thank and feel blessed if you can go to the toilet without someone holding your hand or helping you. So I want to really thank you for this inspiring speech. Now, the thing that I say 2 out of 3, I wish you had put a little more entertainment in your speech, because to inspire your audience, you have to, as I said, engage them, move them, which you did. The only missing part was entertainment. One more thing I like to tell you is that when you use a prop, you want to be advantageous to your message. I think your prop didn't show clearly on the screen. So this is something you want to focus on in the future. Again, thank you for helping me, for inspiring me. Focus on my blessings and not on my shortcomings. Back to you, Toastmaster Meenakshi.
Thank you, DTM Khalid, for the wonderful evaluation. We will now take 5 minutes, Toastmaster Biliana, to round up the entire presentation with the feedback on evaluations.
Yes, so I will use the next 5 minutes to evaluate the evaluators and to give them some feedback based on the tips given in the workshop. First of all, thank you to both of you for being brave enough to be evaluators tonight and to actually implement some of the tips that were presented to you. That's a very good thing, because the more you practice, the better you will become in evaluation. Now, Toastmaster Soy Paul, what I liked in your evaluation was that you actually picked up the message. You mentioned that shift the focus immediately in the opening of your evaluation. And this is also a sign of a good evaluator, because a good evaluator usually understands the message of the speech and is able to use that message to his or her advantage. You also showed the positive impact of the speaker on you in just one simple sentence, which was very profound, when you said that if we see his speech, if we watch the speech that was delivered, we will never complain. So this sums up the positive aspect, a positive effect that the speech has had on you. You still need to work a little bit more on the bridge. You know, you need to craft it. It's good if you write down the ways how you want to move from the commendations to the recommendations. What was also good in your evaluation was that you used very polite phrases and language. You said things like, I would like to suggest, or I think I would like to highlight, these are the strengths that you showed. So this is very positive. You didn't say, I want to suggest. Verbs like want are very strong. So we need to use neutral language. You had a very good motivational message, but just work a little bit on the summary. Remember, the summary has to be crafted with one single sentence, and it has to show both sides, the commendations and the recommendations. But well done. It was a good attempt, and I'm sure with more practice, you will excel in your evaluations. Now, DTM Khalid Amin. DTM Khalid Amin always has advantage because he uses humor in everything. In his speeches, table topics, evaluations, you name it, he has it. And he did the same thing tonight. He immediately used subtle humor. And this is another thing that can help you in your evaluations. If you're a good humorous speaker, using humor in evaluations can win the judges and can win the audience, and they will be laughing with you and they will be enjoying your evaluation. So good use of humor. And you actually referred to the examples which were used in the speech when you mentioned the handicapped person, Nick, and also Edmund Hillary. So in a way, this shows that you have been paying attention to the speech. I liked your recommendations because they were very specific, and they are probably the type of recommendations which not everybody will mention. So remember, I said somebody will stand out in their recommendations. So those two recommendations were very specific. You had a very good motivational message. You lifted the speaker, and I think if I were there, if I were the speaker, I would probably feel good about the evaluator. However, there was no summary because probably you didn't have a chance to prepare a lot, but make sure that the summary comes before the motivational message, because you're building up your evaluation to that what we call crescendo, the highest note, which is the motivational message at the end. So this is my general feedback. And as you can see, even after 20 minutes, your evaluations can be done in a way which is not the usual way that probably many of us are used to. So the more you practice, the better you become. And as I said, you can master the craft and the art of evaluation. So give it a try this year. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Biliana, for that wonderful presentation and very, very insightful points for each of us to carry forward and use it in our journey of Toastmasters. Excellent job. Let's all give a round of applause to Toastmaster Biliana. I also want to thank Toastmaster Soy Paul for pitching in the last minute, and also for DTM Khalid Amin. Despite not being properly informed, you jumped in and you did a very good job. Thank you. Now we go to the second presentation today that we have, a second workshop. Let me take out the introduction for the speaker. Okay, we have another champion, Toastmaster Nisha. Nisha Shivram is an active Toastmaster for almost 10 years now. From 2010, she's been active in Toastmasters. She's currently serving as Club Growth Director for Division D and also District 116 Speakers Bureau Chair, which is Qatar, isn't it? 7 times Division Champion in International and Evaluation Speech Contest. Okay, that's 70% of her time in Toastmasters. She's been a champion. District Evaluation Champion in 2017 and 2019. 2017 is in Bahrain, or is it in Dubai? It was Bahrain, isn't it?
Bahrain.
Yeah, at that time, it was, of course, a bigger division. The district was bigger. District third place winner, International Speech Contest in 2016. District winner, International Speech Contest 2019 and 2020. And she got placed second in the Regional Speech Contest in 2019. And she is also someone who has been doing on a weekly basis, every Friday. I was there for one Friday, but I couldn't continue somehow. She is the founder of educational events company Speak and Shine and host of weekly online talk series Talksopedia. If you get time, you can go to YouTube and search for that. She's got some amazing speakers lined up, and she does a great job. Let's now put our hands together to welcome Toastmaster Nisha for her presentation on rules of the game. You want me to share the screen now, or?
Okay, let me just start. First of all, thank you so much, Toastmaster Meenakshi, for that elaborate introduction. And I'm so glad to see a lot of my friends here, Toastmaster Biljana, Toastmaster Khalid Amin, and that is after a long, long time. Yes. Now, before I get into the session, how many of you honestly, okay, and I'm saying honestly, keep a hand on your heart and tell me that you would like to win the contest you participate in? Is there anybody in this audience who says that, okay, I don't believe in winning. I just want to take part and share my message with the world. Let us be very, very honest, okay? We all take part in the contest because somewhere, okay, Toastmaster Khalid is of some other opinion. Thank you so much for being so honest, but let me tell you that deep down, we all want to win. And that is something of, you know, of a psychological thing, because otherwise we would not be attending workshops, okay? We would not be competing again and again and again every single year, right? Because deep down and
Are you giving me a chance
to win? Is it?
Are you giving me a chance to say something?
Yes, yes, sir, please.
Okay, you know what? Actually, I found someone who doesn't like to win.
Who is that?
Yesterday, Kwang Yu Yang. I think he just likes to compete again and again and come back because he knows if he wins, he cannot come back again.
Yeah, that is yet another way. But still, he is winning and reaching up to that level, right? But in order to win, we need to test any speech contest. And since we all are Toastmasters and we are attending this workshop, a speech contest is just like a game, a sports activity, wherein there are certain rules and we need to follow those rules if we want to win. Now, as a Toastmaster, you have been attending a lot of workshops. You know how to write a great speech. You know how to deliver a great speech. You know the techniques of storytelling. But that is not what I'm going to talk about today here. Okay, I will take you through some other rules. Master Meenakshi, I'll request you to please share the presentation on the screen. Just, yeah. All right. Now, okay. Next slide. All right. Now, as it is very clearly mentioned here, you have to learn the rules of the game and then you have to play better than anybody else, right? So what are these rules of the game? Let me take you to number one. Rule number one. And the number one rule of this game is to have the mindset of a winner. Now, what does that mean? When you go for a contest and you see Toastmaster Biljana there, or you see Toastmaster Khalid Amin there, and you think, oh my God, these people are already there. What am I going to do? I'm not going to win. There itself, you will lose it. And I'll give you the example. In 2017, when I was in the division evaluation contest, many of my friends said, oh, okay, I'll be happy with second or third position. That contestant was not even placed second or third, forget the first position. So this is exactly what happens when you see a competent contestant in front of you, that you block your mind. So never ever do that. Always and always go to the contest with the mindset of a winner. That is when you win half of the battle. Actually, you can move on to the third slide. I've already covered rule number one, that is to have the mindset of a winner. And rule number two is to know the criteria. And when I'm talking about criteria, I'm talking about the judging criteria. And let me reveal that out of the 8 contestants at your area or division contest, all aware of the judging criteria. They are just there with their speeches to compete. They don't know what the judging criteria or what the judges' ballot says. So what is the judging criteria? The content in an international speech contest carries 50 marks. Imagine, content is the king, as they say. It carries 50 marks. And then comes your delivery, which is 30 marks. Right? So content, delivery, language. Now, you know the judging criteria, okay? Let's move on to the next slide. But has any one of you ever tried to read the points that are given at the back of the ballot? No, we haven't. And that is where the mistake is. Because we just go through the ballot to read what is there at the back of the ballot because we think that it is for the judges. But let me remind you, as a contestant, you need to read the entire thing because the entire crux of your speech, content, and delivery lies there. Okay. Now, if you click on the points, Toastmaster Meenakshi, content-wise, we all know that, you know, there are marks on speech development, there are marks on speech efficiency, and value. But there are certain questions. Number one is, will my speech hold the interest of the audience from the beginning till the end? Now, when you will read that question and you will answer that question, you will know how interesting your speech is. And how will you judge or measure the interest or effectiveness of your speech? How can you measure it? Now, people would say that, okay, present your speech in your club, present the speech in front of your friends. I'm a mother of 2 little kids, okay? My son is 6 years old and my daughter is 3 years old. I make them sit in front of me and I give my speech. And I believe if I can get the interest of a 6-year-old monkey mind kid, that means my speech can hold, make the listeners listen to that speech. That is how I measure the effectiveness. So if when you present the speech in the club and you look at people, they are either yawning or look at your speech is not effective at all. And you have to work on the speech. So how will you work? Add interesting stories, or as Toastmaster Khalid mentioned in his evaluation, add humor. You have to make the speech interesting enough that people would sit there from the beginning till the end without moving and listening to your speech carefully. And that is very, very important. Now, content is very important. We all know that speeches yesterday, and we know the content is very, very important. But delivery, the way you present the speech is equally important. And when I say delivery, people are looking at your body language, the way you are using the stage. And when I say the usage of stage, I mean you need to literally choreograph your movements on the stage as per the content. You are just not moving here and there just because somebody has said that you content, and see how you can literally choreograph your movements on the stage. And it should be very, very purposeful. It should not be that you are just running from one corner to the other corner. So if you have a story of your household, create that household on the stage at one corner. You can stand there and narrate the story standing over there in your house. And when you move from your house to that particular area to another area and stand there and narrate the story with all the gestures and everything standing over there. So make sure that when you use the stage, it is with a purpose and not just moving here and there. And same with your expressions, same with your gestures. Not just, moving your hands all the time without any, with no sense, no relevance. Make sure that the movements, your hand movements or your facial expressions, everything match your content and is timely along with it. The moment you say something, your hand moves along with that. It's not that you are saying something and after 2 seconds you remember that you have to show this hand movement and you raise your hand. No, it should be very, very timely. And in the same way, voice modulation. Now, let me make it very clear. Toastmaster Biljana knows, and I still remember the voice of her grandmother, the way she had changed it on the stage in her speech. I still remember that. Now, voice modulation, many people think that it is about changing the voice. I can say, wow, that was a great voice modulation you did. No, voice modulation is not about changing the voice. Voice modulation is about controlling and adjusting your voice. So you need to know where you have to go fast. You need to know where you have to go slow. You need to understand the highs and the lows in your voice. And you need to know the importance of a pause. Because great speeches happen between the pauses. So when and now the question may be, where should I pause? You need to pause before you start the speech. So when you are called out, when your name is called out and when you reach the stage, don't just start. Take your time. Look at your audience, smile, and then start your speech. That is the first time when you will pause. The second time, after your introduction. After your introduction, take a pause so that your audience will understand what the introduction was all about. And it will also give you time to move into the body or the story of the speech. So after the introduction, pause. Pause after every question that you understand the question, reflect on it, and then answer within themselves. You need to pause after every question that you ask. You need to pause after every important point that you mention in your speech. And you need to pause if you have jokes or funny statements or humor, because it is very important that your audience understands the joke and laugh. You cannot just rush through this example. No, you need to give time to your audience to listen, understand, and respond to the funny statement that you had said. So pauses are very, very important in a speech. Now, if you have enough pauses, I just want to ask and understand myself as a speaker, what should be the word count in your speech? In a 5 to 7 minute speeches, what should be the word count? Now remember,
600.
600. Always maintain a 550 to 600 words, because you need to take pauses. Remember that. Unless and until you take proper pauses at the right place, at the right time, your speech will not be effective enough. So make sure whenever you write a speech, even if you have a long, long story and a lot of things to say, cut it short and make words for a 7 minute speech. Remember that. Now comes language. The next point is language. And here I would like to mention about an incident that the legendary Shashi Tharoor, since most of you are Indian here, Shashi Tharoor, if Toastmaster Biljana and Toastmaster Khalid, they don't know about Shashi Tharoor. He is a linguistic expert, a politician, a great orator from India, a parliamentarian from India. And he is someone who is known as language, okay? And he uses some sort of tough words that you would find it very difficult to understand. You literally have to look into a dictionary when you're talking to him. Now, this legendary person once asked a writer, a female writer in India, that why do you use such simple language in your books? And that writer responded that, I use simple language because I want people to read it and understand what when they are reading my books. And that is exactly what we need to do as a speaker. Simple language, yet beautiful language. So the whole idea of language is to simplify your speech, but at the same time, beautify it. And those who are from the English teaching background, they will understand the importance of metaphors, similes, alliteration. This is very clearly explained in our Competent Communicator Manual, and I pity those who have joined, who are new members and who are on Pathways program. Guys, there is something called Competent Communicator Manual. I think you can still find it on Toastmasters website, or you can download it from Google. There is a project named as How You Say It. It is all about English language. It is all about your language. So it will tell you how you can use similes, metaphors, alliteration, triads, and make your speech beautiful by using all these different types of words and phrases. So when it comes to language, use simple language, but make sure that your pronunciation and grammar are correct. And that is where you are going to score marks. You're not going to score marks for the tough language that you have used. You're going to score marks at the appropriateness of the words and the correctness of the grammar, that you focus on the criteria. And when I say criteria, you have to literally go deep into it. It is not just that, you went through the judging ballot and you said, oh, wow, I have got a great speech, I'm ready. No, read the questions that are there at the back of the ballot, answer it. And if you find that your answer is not, effective as per the question, you need to work on the speech again. And that is rule number 2. Now let me move on to rule number 3. Rule number 3 says, be original. Be original. Now, what does that mean? Now, we all are human beings, and whether we accept it or not, in some or the other way, the previous world champions, they leave a mark on our mind, right? So when we watch a speech, all of a sudden we try to, copy either the speech style or the speaking style in our speeches. And we try to do it the next year in our contest. It happens. It has happened with me also. Try not to do that. So when I say be original, I'm not talking about copying and pasting someone's speech from the internet. No, I'm talking about imitating the success of previous champions. So if in your next speech, at some point, if you say that victory is in try, you know what I mean. Somewhere Mike has left a mark on your minds. Okay, so when I say be, and again, there are people, and I have observed them, that they go back to YouTube and watch very old championship speeches, and they literally copy the entire speech and come thinking that watch that speech. But let me tell you that everybody is watching everything. So don't even try to do that, whether it is international speech contest, whether it is humorous speech contest. Some people, they go and check some stand-up comedians and they copy the entire stuff and they bring it into the humorous speech contest. Please do not know that the entire world is watching everything that is there on internet. So be Can we move to number 4? Rule number 4 says, add contrast in your speeches. And what do you mean by adding contrast? See, adding contrast is 2 different views in one sentence. Okay, 2 different views in one sentence. To give you a to be or not to be. These are 2 different opposite viewpoints placed close to each other for effect. So one example is to be or not to be. So if you have these kind of contrasting statements in the speech, that makes a lot of effect. Now another statement by Muhammad Ali: float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. Now 2 opposite viewpoints placed close to each other for effect. And I have the past world champion speeches. If you want to see, you can just click on that. Yeah, your mouth can spit venom or it can mend a broken soul, said by Muhammad Khatani in his speech, The Power of Words. And then we have Manoj Vasudevan, who said, she loved swimming, I fear drowning. You fall in love because of Cupid's arrow, but what keeps it going or what keeps you in love is Cupid's bow. Pull less, bend more, said by Manoj Vasudevan. And the most famous one, but I don't know what it is, right? So you see the 2 different opposite viewpoints placed close to each other for effect. So you can try these things either in the title or in the speech message or in your story somewhere in between the speech. Now, rule number 5. Practice as if it is the finals. Now, every time people ask me this question, that when do you start practice? Do you practice your speech? You can practice in front of a mirror to understand your expressions, gestures, and movements. And the best way to practice is to practice in front of your friends or family relatives or your club members. So you can give the same speech in different clubs. In that way, you will get a feedback. You will know where to, which are the areas that you can work on. But my dear friends, when you practice your speech, you practice as if it is, as if you're going to present it, okay, is your finals and you're going to present the speech. Now, what do I mean by that? Some people have this habit of, just practicing, just going through the speech, mugging it up and just, practicing it, and just then they see the time, okay, I'm within the time limit and that's it. And then in their minds, they think that, okay, when I will be there on the stage, I will raise my hand like this, or I will do something like this, or I will bring some expressions. But when they are practicing it, they are not doing it. They keep it for the finals. They think that, okay, when I'll be there on the stage, I'll do it. Have you seen Usain Bolt? Usain Bolt, in his Olympics 100 meters, he created a record. Now, do you think that every day when he practiced, he thought that, okay, today I will practice 100 meters and I will cover 100 meters in 1 minute? And in the finals, I'll try to run and finish it off in 9 seconds or 10 seconds. Is that possible? No. Every single day when he practices to, it will be possible for him to perform like that during the finals. And that is what you need to do as a speaker. When you practice it, practice the way you are going to present it in the finals. You may improvise it when you are there on the stage, you find some point and you can simply say that. But when you are practicing at home or in your club or in front of your friends, practice the way you are going to present the speech on the stage in the finals. And that is a very, very important point. Toastmaster Meenakshi, could you please click on, yeah. And rule number 6, act, topic, and examples. What kind of a topic are you going to select? Have you ever thought about it? Now, if you have observed the World Championship of Public Speaking yesterday, you would see that people had selected so many variety of topics. And that means, that literally shows us that we can select any topic we want. We can select any topic we want. And if any of you have watched Toastmaster Dwayne Smith's speech, I don't remember the year, he's the world champion. Dwayne Smith has spoken about music, the importance of music in our life. And you may think that, oh, what can I talk about? Music. You can even talk about English grammar. Any sure that when you choose the topic, you choose examples that can help you relate with the audience. So when Dwayne Smith spoke about music, he had one very strong example or story where he could, he narrated a story about his friend who was planning to commit suicide and how music changed his life. So you need to pick a very strong person story where you could relate that. So you can speak on any topic. Don't ever think that, okay, my God, I don't have a topic this year. What would I do? No, topics can be anything. You can talk about, as I said, English grammar, or you can talk about arithmetic. But how you present it through the examples, that makes a lot of difference. And if you look at all the speeches, you will find that, people are talking, presenting speeches on almost same topics: love, dream, journey, success. But it's the story, the examples that make all the difference. So it's the same old wine in a new bottle. I spoke about rejections in 2016. So many people have spoken about rejections, but the stories would differ, and how you present it, that would matter. That would make all the difference. So that was rule number 6. Now, next slide. Again, and let me reiterate, winning is not everything. In a contest, winning is not everything. And I strongly believe in that. Winning is not everything. Click on the next line. That is the only thing. My dear friends, nobody would remember who was the second place winner or the third place winner. Let me only remember the champion. And one more thing, people would come and tell you that, oh, your speech was far better than the winner. But ultimately somebody won, right? So when you're preparing and when you're presenting, present like a winner, because winning may not be everything. That is the only thing, my dear friends. And back to the Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you, Toastmaster Nisha, for that wonderful presentation. In fact, I have noted down a lot of points. Simple but beautiful language. That's very, very tough one. How do you find that actually?
Wonderful, wonderful.
No, I'll tell you, in 2012, when I had presented my speech for the first time at district level finals in Bahrain, I lost. And many people came to me and said, Nisha, the language was so tough. Why do you have to stand in your speech? And it took me a lot of years, let me tell you, it took me a lot of years to actually simplify the language. And now when I write speeches, I make sure that, you know, my speech is very simple. Even my 6-year-old son can understand what I'm saying. So it has taken me a lot of years to do that. It is not, as you said, it is not an easy job, because we always try to impress people. But then somebody had said that, you know, there is beauty in simplicity. We need to try it once.
So it comes out of experience, probably 10 years.
Yes.
Okay, and of course, the practice was definitely a very, very important point that you said. Because I remember one incident, at least, when we had Panchanadishwaran, a humorous speech winner, Laban, if you remember the speech from the DTAC. So that speech we practiced, and I was with him. So all through the, right from area contest till the district when he went. So as you said, we practice with pauses, we practice with every move that he's going to do on stage. And you know, we never made him to make any more changes in the script, because it was very, very particular that where he is going to stop. And even sometimes people don't laugh. You know, sometimes they may not laugh actually. So we told him, you have to give a pause. Doesn't matter whether they laugh or not. If they laugh, you extend your pause. So you're right, actually, it makes a huge difference when you practice the way you want to deliver. And it shows on stage.
And I was recently watching one interview wherein Darren 52 times before he went to give the finals. So that is how committed people are, and that is how they practice. And we have this tendency of relaxing till December, and then we start writing our speeches. No, people are so seriously working on their speeches, and that is what we have to do. We need to do that. Yeah.
Good. Any questions from the audience? Toastmaster Biliana, you want to?
Yeah, I just want to make a point that I'm a great believer in performance. And I think that last night at the World Championship, the winning speech actually stood out because of the performance. Yes, the message was strong, although people say other speeches also had very strong messages, but the performance was exemplary.
Yeah.
And this is what, if you really want to be a champion, as you said earlier, every movement has to be in sync with every word. There shouldn't be anything that stands out. Well, my question is regarding the topics. Sometimes in the beginning, when I started competing, I was kind of reluctant to choose topics that would go deep, to dig deep inside me and to perform and present them, because I was afraid that the audience might not like them or they might not respond well. So do you personally think that those speeches which dig deep are more impactful than those who probably they are safe in a way? What's your personal opinion?
Yes, something that is very, very close to your heart. Students also, whenever you are trying to find a topic, there are few things that you can try. One is your passion. Okay, what you're passionate about. That is very easy. People can talk about a lot of things. You can talk about your friends, you can talk about your family, but one thing that we all hesitate to do, and that is the most impactful way of finding a topic, is your mess. The blunders that you have done in your life. You look at your mess, ultimately you will find a message there. And that is what we all are scared to do. Now, when I was thinking about, one of my school stories, I used to be a bully. Okay. So I can never say that someone bullied me. Now I'm scared to tell people that I was a bully. But when I will do that, when I will open up my, weaknesses or my bad side, then I will become a convincing speaker.
Thank you.
So it is very, very, then only you will get a very powerful message, and somehow you would be able to, make that connection with the audience.
How far you can go up in opening? That's the point actually. You always
Yes.
get
Yes.
scared as to which one is okay, which one is not okay. That's a
Right.
very delicate
Because,
line.
yeah, now we all have an image like Nisha. Oh, she's a very nice, kind girl. But when I will open up those secrets, then people, oh my God, then probably but would like it.
Yeah. Okay, imitating these previous champions. That's something which, very, very good point. But how can you avoid the influence? Because see, without even knowing, sometimes you will have some of the points, seeping into your presentation. How will you avoid that?
So you have to be mindful of that. Okay, and I'll give you an example. When Dhananjay won the championship, one similar type of a story, but the entire prop thing, instead of a flower, he used a candle. Okay, so when he did that, we all understood that where is it coming from. So you need to be very mindful of your gestures and movements and the way. And I also remember that when I had given this speech in 2019, last year, not the current contest, the last one, there were some areas where I thought to myself that so I have to be mindful. I needed to be mindful of my own actions, and then I need to take care of. When you are mindful that you are doing it consciously, then you can rectify it. Otherwise, it is very, very difficult, and it will be very much evident there on the stage when you would stand there. People would understand. Okay, now she is trying to copy someone. So yes, you have to be mindful, and you know that. You will know that.
Maybe you also need a very honest mentor or a friend who can
Yes.
point out and say that, boss, this is where you are going wrong. Something is, to be noted
Yes.
down. DTM Khalid,
Exactly. Yeah.
you want to add something?
Well, actually, this is going to be part of my next presentation, but since it came up, I will share it with you. Pablo Picasso has a saying, it's a good artist copy, great artist steal. And that is exactly what happened yesterday, by the way. The message of the winner is the same message as Dave Ross, the 1992 world champion, but he used it differently. Dave Ross says, the measure of success is not winning. It is giving it your all. And Mike Carr took that idea, but said it in his own words.
That is why I said, old wine in a very new bottle.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. So it's like you can always learn from previous champions as long as you're smart enough to present it, as you said, in a new bottle. Thank you,
Right.
Toastmaster Nisha.
Yeah, probably new bottle, also probably after 20 years.
Yeah. Yes, of course, yes.
Yes, any questions from the audience? Isham, DTM Isham, can you? I'm seeing DTM Isham here. Is he?
I think he probably joined, but went to his lecture.
Yeah, maybe, yes.
I'm sorry, DTM Meenakshi, were you saying something?
Yeah, I just want to ask if you have any questions or you want to add any points.
In terms of questions, no, it was two really crystal clear presentations. I thoroughly enjoyed both of it, and really thank you for sharing a lot of your experiences. It was fabulous, because a lot of these experiences come through the pain of defeat. Learning doesn't come easily. Both these two great ladies have stood on stage, and I'm sure they have shed many internal tears, and you lose far more than you win. So they stand as champions, and they have really earned and paid through blood, sweat, tears. And to give that hardened experience so freely, it's really amazing. Thank you so much. It's a real blessing to have learned from both of you. I really appreciate it. And thank you for the two clubs for organizing this. It's a real blessing. Thank you so much. Back to you, TMOD.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Isham, for the wonderful point. Yes, I just want to ask one question before we conclude. I mean, timer is being showing all the lights to me, but still I'm ignoring it actually. Okay, one question I want to ask is that you talked about grammar. How many? Okay, this is getting recorded also. This also they're available on YouTube, but still I am putting this question. How many judges you think have a fair idea of good language or a correct grammar?
Okay, see, it's very simple. If you are missing out on basic things, okay, for example, when you are talking about some incident that came from the past and you are still using the present tense, that doesn't look good. At least we can, focus on the basic thing. If I have to say that I had a friend in the past, but I'm still talking in the present tense, I'm sorry, your grammar is bad. I'm not talking about, using all the high, since our English teacher is here, she knows all the form of grammar. I'm not an expert, but at least the basic thing, that is what, when we say that correct grammar, and that is why the importance of simple language, that is where the importance of simple language. If you have simple language, simple words, then of course the grammar will also be you to follow and speak. Otherwise, if you are using all those tough words and all those phrases and everything, definitely the grammar will be difficult and you will be confused. So keep it simple, the basic thing, basic.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. There are two people who want to ask questions. One is DTM Khalid first. So
I think Bilyana should go first because I already spoke. So
I just want to give one example to what Nisha has just said. This is exactly what happened to me this year when I was competing in the international contest. When I started working on my speech, I had this beautifully crafted speech that has this very good language, very colorful, very good style. And then when I worked with my coaches, they simplified the language. And at one point I was like, but where is that language that I had? It's gone, it's not here. But then when I stepped back and I looked at the speech, how it was simplified, I understood that we did exactly that because of the audience. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Okay, just quickly, Toastmaster Meenakshi, I think I can add something to what Nisha said. Of course, thank you again, Toastmaster Nisha and Bilyana. Really, this has been very educational for me personally. I'm sure for everyone. But a practical answer to your question is this. Dave Brooks, everyone knows him. He says that on the judging sheet, every category you score points. This is where you can lose points. And I think Nisha said it correctly. If you mix the present with the past or whatever, so you can actually lose points by making these silly mistakes. Otherwise, I think Bilyana, said it right. But thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Both the presenters, let's give a round of applause to Toastmaster Nisha for the wonderful presentation. Thank you for taking your time out, and it's been a great evening, a lot of learning. I would conclude my session and hand over control back to the presidents. So probably I'll start with Krypton Advanced Toastmaster President, Toastmaster Ramya. You can take over, and then probably KCA President can conclude the meeting.
What a spectacular workshop. I really don't feel like adjourning the meeting. I wish it keeps going on. Thank you so much, Toastmaster Nisha and Toastmaster Bilyana, for this wonderful workshop, and DTM Meenakshi too for arranging this workshop. Thank you so much for joining us. With this, I adjourn meeting 140 of Krypton Advanced Toastmasters. Over to President of KCA.
Thank you, President Ramya Suresh. I have to say, our Toastmaster of the day, Toastmaster Meenakshi Sundaram, had done a wonderful job. There's one thing I can learn from him is that he was very smooth throughout the meeting. And I absolutely love that. And we had two amazing workshops by first Toastmaster Bilyana and Toastmaster Nisha. And I have to say, Toastmaster Bilyana, your workshop, as always, is superb. And I remember last year, we had an evaluation workshop and I invited you to do it for us for KCA. And by coincidence, just like Surgeon Adam mentioned, it was on the day of Onam. And at the end of the meeting, we did have some paisams and we enjoyed it. Unfortunately, now it's online. We can't do that. But hopefully in the future, we could share paisams with everyone.
Next year.
Yes, and Toastmaster Nisha, I have to say, the way you started, before you started your presentation, you started with a question, do we like winning? And deep down, I'm not speaking for everyone, but personally, I'm speaking deep down, yes, I do love winning. But that changes when I lose. It then transforms into, oh, I just wanted to participate because I want to share a message. Until then, if I don't win, that's how it is. It's a message. If I win, oh, yes, I won. So those were wonderful rules that you have given. And I can see, even though it's an online meeting, it is not perfect. Well, as now you can see me wearing a shirt, but below I'm wearing my PJs. So it's very convenient, but it's not the perfect system. So I just want to ask all the guests over here, is there any suggestion or feedback on how to improve our meeting and also the workshops? Is there any highlight you've seen or anything to improve? To kick it off, we'll start with everyone's favorite person. I'll give a clue who that is. He's a Fedora man, DTM Khalid Amin. Do you have anything to share with us, sir?
Well, I just want to thank the presenters again, and I want to thank Toastmaster Meenakshi. And it's always a pleasure listening to you, Alvin. I think I have, every time I come to your club, I learn something and I walk away with something that I can apply to my life. And certainly I learned from both the presenters today. And that's all I can say. If there is anything you want me to, as a recommendation, as Bilyana said, just have more members present next time, please.
True. Next time we have to work on it both from CAT's side and KCA side also.
Yeah, I think even Bilyana was general evaluator for your club once, you know, and she recommended that you could attract more people, especially during this period, by the way.
Oh, definitely.
Because a lot of people, they are searching for something to do, and what could be more, you know, wonderful and more useful than joining a Toastmasters meeting. I mean, there is camaraderie, there is education, there is fun, and you can, you know, even attract new members. So that's all I have to say. Thank you again. Hats off to the presenters and Master of Ceremonies and to you personally. Thank you again.
I just want to add one more point to Dr. Khalid. I think we should not share the video clippings with our members. I think that is the reason people are sitting happy at home. They can view it at any time, you know, it's there already there in the YouTube. They can view any number of times. I think we should not do that.
Yeah, I think that was a point maybe we can do it, you know, we can stop it next time. But also, one of the things that I am thinking probably is because we initially planned for tomorrow, and then because tomorrow happens to be Onam, and we shifted it to today. Not many members have not been, it's a short notice and not really available. So we missed out actually on the number of members who could come. Otherwise, yeah, I think we should probably plan a bit more in advance and well in advance. That's what I think we could probably do better.
Actually, we are already winners by attending this workshop. They missed a lot.
True. Yes, one suggestion I would like to give is that somehow we could keep an attendance record online, because I can see throughout the meeting, as the workshop got over, as we got into questionnaire session, people slowly started leaving one by one. And now we have around only 9 participants now. So if that could be checked out, will be great. I mean, definitely, yes, it's a work in progress, but yes, it's not perfect, but yeah. So is there any other feedback that you would like to give? And then we can just end the meeting over here. Toastmaster Hisham Jeffrey, is there any feedback you want to give?
Just keep doing more workshops, and I will try my absolute best to attend everything, because KCA is known for its excellence, and this group of people make it so simple. I mean, your creativity, your innovation, and your ability to give so much content is just fantastic. I remember I attended another workshop with DTM Muhammad Shukri. It may have been another club, but it's the same faces and the same people. So the main reason that attracts me is you. So thank you so much. Thank you so much. I mean, regardless of the shortcomings or the short notice, the content and the value that was given is truly special. It was really world class. And after a certain time, if you're a mature Toastmaster, it's difficult to get 100% out of every program, but you will get some nugget out of some program. But what I got out of this program is a bucket load, is a wheelbarrow load of value. Thank you so much. Forget the shortcomings, focus on the value. You're doing really well. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Definitely. Thank you so much. And I can see that everyone is all eager to go out and enjoy the night. So officially, I'm concluding KCA Toastmasters meeting number 416. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good night. Take care.
Thank you. And
Good
do
night.
we
Bye-bye.
take
Thank
a
you.
photo of all?
Oh, yes, photo.
Yeah.
Completely forgot
We
about that.
forgot that. Yeah.
I don't have my camera, not camera, what is it? Phone with me. So probably I would.
I can take a screenshot if you want.
Yeah, maybe Sean, do you have your. Okay, you're using your phone only. Fine.
Okay, he's on the drive. Okay, I'll take the picture. So in count of 3 as usual. 1, 2, 3. Give a big smile. Cheese. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye
Thanks a
bye.
lot.
Have a
Good night.
nice
Thanks
night.
a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
bye.
Thank you so
Good night.
much.
Thank you very much. Have a good night.